welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. This is Dianne, your lactation consultant.
And I'm Abby, the Badass Breastfeeder. And today's episode is brought to you by Dianne Cassidy Consulting.
Me. It me.
You can sign up for your very own one-on-one lactation consultation with Dianne over at badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com. And we'll talk more about that later. But you can find all of our sponsors at badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com. If you ever need anything, see if you can give them any of your business because they make this podcast possible. And while you're there, scroll down, enter your email address, and we'll send you episodes straight to your inbox every week. And we are on Patreon. Head to the top link in the show notes under this episode, wherever you're listening from. Click the Patreon link and see if there's a tier that looks good to you. You get little gifts like stickers and thank you for nursing in public cards. And we have our Revolution Parenting podcast and our Zoom hangouts. And it's really a lot of fun. And we're still hosting our ongoing giveaway for people who leave reviews around the internet. So just take a screenshot of your review, whether it's written or stars or whatever it is that happens on the app that you listen on, and send that screenshot to badassbreastfeedingpodcast@gmail.com along with your address, and we'll send you a goodie bag of thank you for nursing in public cards and podcast stickers and fun things like that. And I would like to tell you again about the Milk Bank Challenge that is happening for the rest of this year. So get your milk in. So the purpose of this is to increase milk donations to milk banks. Because as we know, or maybe you don't know, milk banks provide breast milk to medically fragile babies who otherwise wouldn't survive. Like, it literally is saving babies' lives so that a parent does not have to suffer a loss. So a baby does not have to lose his life. So your breast milk donation, like, that's the most amazing thing that you can do. You can make a donation to whatever. You have a local milk bank. Some milk banks will take shipments. Find a milk bank. Provide them with the amount of milk that they there's probably a minimum. It's not thousands. Do you happen to know? I forgot to look. I was going to look. Yeah. I'll make a note to look. By next episode, I will have a number, an average, I think. So just pump that milk and donate it. And when they'll send you a confirmation of your donation. Take that confirmation. Click the link at the top of the show notes. Okay, there's 2 links at the top of the show notes. You can manage. This one says Milk Bank Challenge. And you'll figure it out when you see it. Milk Bank Challenge, sign up. And when you provide them that confirmation, they're going to credit your Amazon account with $250. They're trying to get milk donations. Last year, the Milk Bank Challenge brought in 1.5 million ounces of milk. So you have nothing to lose and everything to gain to providing milk to another baby. And, maybe you should do your review.
Oh, yes. Let's do our review
of the week.
Okay. This podcast is the equivalent of a high-quality bra. The support these ladies give, I know, isn't it hilarious?
Oh, my God. The support. Oh, my God. I love it.
I know. So it's bad. It's badass. The support these ladies give during all stages of motherhood is exceptional. From listening to this podcast, I have learned to respect myself as a mother kindly and patiently. I learned to recognize the importance of my breastfeeding child's needs and my own. This podcast was the support I needed to fight off all the noise at every stage of my journey. This podcast gave me the strength to stand up for myself and recognize support versus non-supportive behavior of people around me. This podcast is the unsung hero of my breastfeeding journey, just as a supportive bra is the unsung hero of a good run, a great night out, sitting, standing, or lounging. I gained confidence and trust in myself as a first-time mother, first-time breastfeeding mother, and first-time boundary reinforcer. I'm ready to wean. I know my 2-year-old son is ready too. It's because of this podcast I know what to do next. Thank you for everything and keep doing the unsung heroes work of supporting boobs when no one else will. Loving that review. I love all our reviews, but so good. So good. So I am so glad we were there for you during all your challenges and every turn that you had. It really means a lot to us that we were part of your journey. So thank you so much. And thank you for sending that in. And you will get your stickers and your cards because people are doing it. Like Abby said, people are sending in their reviews and we are sending out their cards and their stickers. And then you'll have breastfeeding in public cards to give away when you see people breastfeeding in public. So it's awesome. So thank you so much.
That's so fun. And we know that people hand them out because we've gotten those messages.
Yes, I love those messages.
I know. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So, as you know, I like to take messages that I get, and if there's little helpful pieces of information in there that I think would benefit other people, I like to read them. And here's a situation that one of our listeners ran into, and they messaged me about it. I think it was the Badass Breastfeeder Instagram. So they say, I'm super grateful for your episode on alcohol and medications. My sister-in-law went in for a bone scan and they told her she couldn't breastfeed for 24 hours. Her baby's almost 1, and the nurses throughout the night. I am a nurse and still nursing my 18-month-old. And I'm always skeptical when they say you shouldn't nurse after such and such a situation, since almost no medical professionals are trained in lactation. Another time they told her she couldn't nurse and after a cortisone shot in her hips. Anyway, I looked it up and found that no interruption of lactation is recommended for that particular radioactive tracer. I gave her that info and told her if it were me, I would still nurse. So she did, and I'm glad for her and her baby because that would have been such a rough night for them. And all because some medical professional was just covering their ass. And it's so true. And I'm so glad that she had that information so that she could share it with her sister-in-law because it's so true. That would have been an awful night and for no reason.
For no reason. Yeah. And she was right. It's perfectly safe to nurse. There's a lot of levels to medications and breastfeeding. But one of the things to remember is that as your baby gets older, they metabolize better. So babies, and she said this baby was well over a year, right? Or at least over a year.
A year, yeah.
Yeah. So that is perfectly acceptable. I mean, it would have been acceptable for a younger baby too, but this is really acceptable. Right. But I feel like when that medical professionals don't consider the age of the baby, they don't consider dosage, they don't consider, like any of that stuff of what's going on. They just say don't do it. Yeah.
I don't think that they know enough to consider that.
No, I don't think so either.
They're just like, just don't do it. And that makes it so much harder on everybody.
I have had medical professionals tell a parent not to nurse with a medication that is safe to give to infants.
Oh my God.
I know.
Well, and nobody questions all the medications that are pumped into you when you're giving birth, when your baby's literally still sharing your bloodstream.
Exactly.
They're just like, take this and this and this.
Crazy. It's crazy.
But then we're like, oh no, I don't know if I should take care of my mental health. Damn it, you should. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's just unbelievable, the trauma that we go through over medications.
Yeah.
Or they're told, oh, well, you can't do this. You can't have this procedure. You can't have your tooth fixed. You can't have this MRI until you're done nursing, which is not fair. It's like a punishment.
Right.
When it's
how does it make sense? Like
so.
We're just going to ignore your health because you're breastfeeding? That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. Oh, I don't like it. I could totally go off on that all day.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
All right. Well, so thanks for that message. And today we're going to talk about...
Thank you for that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about... we got an email at the Badass Breastfeeding... I'm sorry.
Abby's got a frog in her throat.
I do. So I got an email. It's pretty long, but it's really detailed concern from this mom who is going on a trip.
And this comes up a lot.
It does come up a lot, and it's really scary. And people wonder, like, what am I supposed to do? How how is it that I can be breastfeeding on demand, like bed sharing and doing all these things, and then go away for a week? Like, how does that work?
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna read it, and then we're gonna talk about it. So sit back because it's a little bit long. Leaving a message here because I don't have iTunes. First of all, I love you ladies and your show so much. I wish I found it when I was nursing my twins. Sadly, I had to wean them before they were a year old, but they're now 3. And God, do I wish I had found y'all when I was told to wean them because I wasn't making enough milk because I regretted it so much. I was heartbroken and I cried every day until I tried to relactate almost 2 months after weaning them. And although I could not bring back a supply, those final latches were enough closure that I've made my peace with it. So now we're starting off with a person who's had a previous breastfeeding experience that did not go the way that they wanted it to go. Currently, I'm exclusively breastfeeding our 10-month-old singleton, and we have fought hard to get where we are. He had a tongue and lip revision at 6 months old because he became dehydrated, which wasn't able to transfer milk efficiently, and was nursing every hour still. And after 2 months of feeding therapy and body work, he was finally nursing like a champ. He's our last baby. My predicament is this. We finally got married a few weeks ago. Congratulations. Yay. The wedding was beautiful. I nursed my baby right before the ceremony, then handed him off to Grandpa right before I walked down the aisle. Nursed before the reception, then sent him home with pumped milk with my mom and his big brothers so my husband and I could have our wedding night child-free. The day of was pretty hectic, and he did not take a single bottle from my mom for 18 hours until I could get back to him the next day. He has yet to take another bottle from anyone, even me or his daddy, and he seems to be having separation anxiety from being away from me during and after the wedding, and I guess from being at my side running around all day while we were getting ready for our wedding. We tried to leave him with my mom again this past weekend, and he refused to take a bottle again. Refused all solids, open cup, straws, spoon-fed milk, etc. He just cried and cried. We went back and got him the next morning at 6 a.m. because the poor baby was hysterical. The wedding was almost a month ago, and he still seems insecure, like I'm going to leave him. He was so hysterical after the wedding. My mom said he thinks I died or abandoned him. We booked our honeymoon a while ago, and we will be leaving December 1st and not return until December 8th. He turns 1 year old on November 27th. My husband and my mom both think I should wean him in the next 60 days before leaving so that when I'm gone, he won't refuse to eat and will not be hysterical. I do not want my baby to be hysterical without me, but he will also be a year old and from a nutritional standpoint does not need breast milk or formula while I'm away, although I do plan to leave pumped frozen milk for him regardless. I guess my question is, we started the weaning process. So far we've only been trying to drop 1 feed and have done so unsuccessfully. He hates bottles, but loves open cups and his Honey Bear straw cup. He eats solids well, as long as it's a home-cooked meal and mashed or cut to be easy for him. I really wanted to nurse him past 1 year because he's our last baby, and I know he isn't ready to wean either. Is it in his best interest to wean before he's a year, starting now, so he won't be hysterical while I'm away for 7 days on our honeymoon? Or is it just in my mom's best interest? What if I wean him and he's still hysterical and I don't get to nurse him anymore when I get back because I already weaned him? Please advise. I feel heartbroken already and I'm already so worried. I wish we could move or cancel the honeymoon, but it would be a $5,000 loss to do so. It's either we go or we lose money. If I go, I'm letting my baby down. If I don't, I'm letting my savings go to waste. The end.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot here.
Yes. My first thought with this is that it's not about the food. It's about being separated from her.
Right.
So, and even here where it says, he didn't take a bottle like the night of the wedding, she tried giving him food. He wouldn't take it. She tried an open cup. He wouldn't take it. He wouldn't take anything. It wasn't just because she wasn't there to nurse him. It was because she wasn't there.
Right. I think we make everything about breastfeeding.
Mm-hmm.
It's like If the baby's crying, there's something wrong with the breastfeeding. If the baby, whatever the baby's doing, it'd be completely unrelated. Like, I feel like this is completely unrelated to breastfeeding.
I do too.
Like, he's a baby, and he doesn't want to be away from his mom. That's very normal.
He's right in a prime time for separation anxiety.
Yeah.
Which is difficult. I mean, it's just a difficult time to be in, difficult situation to be in.
Right. Whether you're going away or not.
Right. Exactly.
So I think it's just a misunderstanding. Like, the parents, the caregivers, her parents who are going to be taking care of the baby while she's gone are just, they just are misinformed about what the baby's so upset about.
Yeah.
But I think that she needs to go on this honeymoon. Like, it's okay to go on your honeymoon. Oh my God. Did you see that?
Yeah. If anybody's watching us on YouTube, Abby's cat's trying to open the door.
My cat just climbed up some pajamas or something. Okay.
You think she should go on the honeymoon?
I do think she should go on the honeymoon.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you?
Yeah, I do.
But here's the thing. I think that... So what I told her was, I think that we, instead of weaning, instead of really focusing on that, because we also don't want a ton of changes before you leave. You getting into a routine, trying to have a routine is key for babies, right? I mean, they really like to have... Oh my God, and the fishing pole fell on top of me. I'm just realizing. I live in Chicago, so I have a lot of random things in random rooms. We just don't have a lot of room. What was I saying? Oh, I think that we need to do some practicing. Like practicing with bottles, practicing with cups in relaxed environments, not while the baby's not upset.
Mm-hmm.
Like with mom around. Mom practicing with... Mom says that the baby takes solids in the cups really well. So maybe grandma can be practicing with the cups and the solid foods. And working on ways to calm the baby.
Right.
Help mom, help grandma. I'm just going to say grandma because it's easier. Help her learn how to calm the baby. So maybe she can get a carrier, like an ergo or, some kind of carrier, and just kind of spend some time with the baby, like skin to skin, rocking the baby, just kind of trying to, because the babies will also pick up on a lot of this anxiety. Mm-hmm. So she was talking about her wedding day. And the baby was with her while she was getting ready, while she was doing all of this. And we all know, most of us know what it's like to go through a wedding. It is high anxiety. She's running around. She's just anxious the whole day. So the baby is probably picking up on the anxiety. Not there's nothing wrong with that. That's just what babies do. And was probably really tired from all the activity, and now being passed to grandma overtired. And an overtired baby is not going to do anything useful except cry and cry and cry and cry and cry.
Yeah.
That happens at your house. Even at home, if the baby becomes overtired, it's going to be really hard to feed them, because they're just kind of bouncing around, and they're harder to settle once they become overtired. So I don't think the baby thought that the mom died. I think I feel like that is really hurtful.
And I was going to say that's a really traumatic thing to say to somebody, because then why would you ever want to leave your baby again?
Exactly. Yeah.
I think he thought you died or abandoned him. Leave him with me again while you're on your honeymoon. So he can really think that. Like, I mean, come on.
I mean, babies don't have these thoughts. Like, babies aren't like, oh God, I think my mom died. Oh, I think my mom abandoned me. Like, they don't know what those things are. The baby was just tired. I mean, yeah, they're probably like, where's my mom? And also like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I can't. Like, they're just.
Yeah.
So I think that is a super traumatic thing to say to somebody. And I guess should we take a break?
Oh, holy cow. Yeah, it's late.
Yeah, let's take a break and talk about Dianne. So let's take a moment. We're going to talk about Dianne Cassidy Consulting and the services that she provides, as well as the new thing with insurance.
Yes.
Maybe you just tell us that.
So I know sometimes people think you can't do a very good consult via telehealth, but you really can. You can do a lot through telehealth. I do a lot of consults through telehealth. So that's what we can do. I do have the ability to take more insurances now. So there is a link on my website, DianneCassidyConsulting.com, and it can help you to figure out whether or not it will take we can take your insurance. And if we can take your insurance, you will be covered for 6 visits, which is really great. And I've done it with a lot of people. So don't think, oh, my insurance won't be covered, because you never know. It could be. It really could be that we can take your insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So give it a shot. I mean, what do you got to lose? If you have questions, if something's coming up for you, some things that we've done consults about are just like starting solids, going out of town, weaning, questions about a newborns, feeds that aren't going well, anything that it could be going on with you, we can do a consult about. So if you are really concerned about something that's going on, if you just want to check and make sure you just have questions you want answered, pumping, that always brings up a lot of questions. If you just have questions that you need answered and some help, then check it out, do it, see if your insurance will be accepted, and we'll book a consult. You can always email me at DianneCassidyIBCLC@gmail.com. You can email me directly, or you can always get me at badassbreastfeedingpodcast@gmail.com as well. Either one of those.
Do it.
Do it now.
All right. Back to our hysterical baby. Also, I think that we should remember that babies also have all kinds of personalities. And some babies are just super highly sensitive. This sounds like a really highly sensitive baby to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if, so starting now, this is what I would do. You tell me what you think. Okay. This is what I would do. I would have my mom come over as much as possible, like every day would be great, over to my house. Because I'm sure when they go on their honeymoon, the baby's going to go over to grandma's house.
Right.
What I would do is have mom come to my house where the baby lives and start with leaving your mom with the baby like an hour. And just have her kind of holding the baby, maybe holding him while he's napping. That's all. Just just holding him, having a peaceful time with him alone. And build up on that over the next couple of months. And having her try to give the baby, having grandma try to give the baby solids and open cups or straw cups, whatever the baby prefers, with mom around. And then gradually with mom not around.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of building up the time and then switching over to grandma's house and doing that over there a little bit at a time. Leaving the baby for an hour. Because it seems like what we've done is we've left the baby overnight a couple of times. And honestly, I really think the baby probably just is upset, of course, because mom's not there. That's normal. And then just gets really tired and is just a hysterical, tired baby. Because we know. Oh, so go ahead.
No, you're totally right. I think you're totally right. And I think there's a lot more going on there. I don't think it has anything to do with the feeding.
No.
At all.
I think it has to do with like a whole family of anxious people.
And Mom had a really good point that when she's gone on her honeymoon, baby doesn't need to be breastfed. Really? I mean,
right. Yeah, she made a point, and that's so she's worried about. She's also worried that if she does wean, then she won't be able to breastfeed him anymore. But I don't think you need to wean. I think you just breastfeed.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
Until you leave, and then the baby has solids and breast milk or water or whatever it is that you're going to give him while you're gone, and when you come back, you keep breastfeeding.
Yeah. I think that would be, I think that's fine. The only thing that I'm concerned about is that you will have to pump while you're on your honeymoon. And who wants to do that?
Yeah, that's true. You need to pump or hand express if you're good at that and don't want to bring a pump. Yeah. You can probably you can practice hand expressing as well. I mean, I keep saying practice as if you have all the hours in the day to practice to leave for your honeymoon. But, also practicing and getting and doing all of these things is going to help you feel better about leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's so nervous too. And this is what I always think too about parents that leave their babies is that they're so worried about how hard it's going to be on the baby and that it is just 100% guaranteed it's going to be harder on the mom than the baby.
Yeah. That's really hard.
Like the way that she's sounding, the way that she's writing this email sounds like the baby has never been calm with grandma. And I bet that's not true. I'm sure that grandma has had some nice, fun time with the baby. And so we need to maximize those times when we're practicing having grandma give a cup or, giving solids and having the baby get used to kind of that happening with grandma.
Now, she didn't mention if she works or anything or if the baby's always just with her every day. Because that could play a role in it too. But the baby is at a prime time for separation anxiety right now. So that's really hard. So you do have to practice leaving, and the baby will understand. Like if you tell the baby, Mommy will be back, all of that stuff. Don't just sneak around and just sneak out while he's not looking, because that makes it worse. And we have episodes on separation anxiety because we've talked about this. This comes up all the time. Your baby is fine for the first couple of months when you leave him, if you have to leave him to go to work or to go to the store or to go somewhere. But then all of a sudden you hit this moment where they turn a certain age and they hit separation anxiety, and you leaving the house is not okay anymore. So you need to really practice, like Abby said, practice in, other people watching them, other people taking them. It's just not realistic that the baby can be attached to your hip 24/7. As much as we want it to be, it's just not realistic.
Right. And you're not harming your baby by leaving during separation anxiety. No. You're coming back. It's just a stage that they go through. They will move through this stage. And it's not. I feel like she also thinks that the baby is traumatized from the wedding. Ever since then the baby's cries when she's leaving, because grandma did say that the baby thought that she had died or abandoned him. But the baby's not traumatized from the wedding. The baby doesn't remember the wedding anymore. This is just what the baby's going through. The baby's having in this stage of separation anxiety.
Yeah.
And your baby is not at all the only baby that cries when mom leaves. That some babies are super chill. Like, that happens, that there are babies that are chill. But like, most babies cry when mom leaves.
Yeah. And they get over it. They get, I don't want to be like, oh, they'll get over it. That sounds like my mother talking.
Right.
I shouldn't. That was so very much my mother coming out of my mouth. Ah!
Well, yes.
But they do. They, like a lot of babies will cry when you leave. And then once you're gone, they start playing or they're doing, just get distracted and they're okay. So it depends on the baby. Like Abby was saying, the personalities are so different. But this is also like he can be a totally different baby by the time December 1st rolls around too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, he's going to be very different because they're just so different at every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it sounds like I would definitely not take a couple of experiences while he was hysterical to mean that he's going to be hysterical for a week when you leave. Like that's not going to happen. But I would definitely pay attention to him being overtired, and really practicing all the things, being at home with grandma, holding the baby, feeding the baby, and then at grandma's house, holding the baby, feeding the baby with mom around, and then mom not around. Practicing all of those things when we're real sure the baby is like getting enough sleep, having enough to eat, before they get overtired, and because then they won't eat. If you have an overtired baby, like, they're not going to eat. It's not going to happen. So she says that she started weaning and that it's been unsuccessful at trying to drop this one feeding session. And I don't think that if you don't feel, that's the other thing. If you don't feel ready and you don't feel like your baby is ready to wean, then don't wean.
Then don't do it. Yeah.
You don't have to wean in preparation of trips and things like that. Your baby will nurse up until the time you leave, and then when you get back.
Yeah, they'll pop. A lot of people do worry about that. They're like, is the baby going to wean while I'm gone?
Yeah.
Are they not going to nurse anymore when I return? No, they'll nurse when you return. They'll nurse when you get back.
That's the other thing. Because like, again, we always say this, breastfeeding is so much more than food. Like breastfeeding is like your baby associates you with breastfeeding at this point. Like that's a part of your relationship with your baby. So when the baby sees you, they're like, oh, boobs are back. And they're going to want to nurse because that's what they think of you.
That's how they connect to you.
Yeah. And I think that your husband and your mom are trying to be really helpful. I think that they are, I think they're like, they want to help. They think that weaning is going to help this situation, but I don't think that that's what's happening.
And the other thing too is like, I think sometimes people think that if you wean, the baby won't be connected to you anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas that connection lasts a lifetime.
Yeah.
So weaning won't mean that he's not going to miss you.
Right. Yeah.
Which is why this is not about food.
True.
Yeah. So neither one of us think you should wean.
I would really love to hear how the next couple of months go and how the trip goes.
Mm-hmm.
And hear all of those things. I also would like to know if there's a grandpa.
She did mention a grandpa.
She did?
Yeah, because as she said, I handed him off to before she.
Oh yeah, right. Okay,
nurse before the ceremony, then handed him off to grandpa.
Okay, because I want to hear grandpa's perspective of how it goes too.
Yeah,
because I don't know if your grandma in the family, your family is like the grandma in my family, but sometimes we need to reality check with somebody else.
Yeah.
And how things went. And not to insult your mom. But I'm just talking about from my personal experience. Because, somebody might, I remember when I went away, I didn't even go away. I went down the street with Josh to we were we were doing one of these, practicing, kind of just going out. We're like, Grandma and Grandpa are here. Okay, we're going to go out and have a beer or whatever. And Jack, I think Exley was a baby and Jack was maybe 3 or 4 or something. And he sat up on the edge of the couch and then and started laughing and flinged himself backwards and off the side of the couch onto the floor. And my mom freaked out. Jack was crying. And my mom freaked out and she was texting us and she was like, you have to come back. Jack fell off the couch and blah, blah, blah. And my dad's like, are you texting them? She's like, yes, he fell. And my dad's like, what are you doing? Don't do that. He's fine. And they were they just had completely different perspectives on what had happened. And I came back and I'm pretty anxious about things. And I came back and was like, really? We had to come back for this? So, I don't know, just to get different perspectives, to put things into perspective and, anyway, go on your honeymoon, man. You got to go, you got to have fun. And we really want to know how things go in the next couple months and your honeymoon so that we can other people can have some real life examples of things.
I know. So let us know.
And congratulations.
Yeah. Keep the faith.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.